Today isn't your typical hiking tutorial that I usually do. If you want to know how to get to Humbug Mountain, Secret Beach, the Natural Bridge, I will leave a link on the AllTrails app with directions on how to get to each hike and each trail. I'm not going to waste your time with that. Earlier in this video, I said something. I said, it's time for me to reflect. And in the last video, if you watched it, I asked why. In order for me to answer that question, why, we need to go back in time. I never really got around to asking that question, or should I say, answering that question. And to answer that question, we need to go back maybe as far as 11 years ago. I was in my early 20s and I decided to go back to college because I had this idea that if you work hard, you go to school, you study, you get good grades, you get a good job. I believed in that American dream, but as you see where this story is going, you could understand how things eventually unfolded. Anyways, I studied for 6 years. My first year was part-time as a college student. Then I went to university, and then I got my degree, and I sacrificed not working. I went to school full-time, gave it everything I got. Studied every day, studied so hard, put so much time into school, and then I graduated. I accomplished that, and then all the jobs that were related to my major, I had sent out application after application after application, and each time I was emailed back letting me know that I was denied. And to be denied every single time and having to take a less paying job was one of those decisions that I had to make, because at the end of the day, we have to pay the bills. We have to get by, we have to eat, we have to drive to work, we have to pay for our cell phone bill, insurance. You get where I'm going with this. And people will say, well, you got a useless degree. But the interesting thing is people who were in my same major were getting all these opportunities, these great jobs, these amazing careers, their own houses, they had their own wives, and they would be able to start families and all that stuff. And me, low paying job, single, no kids. Sometimes it just made me realize that how much of life is really about luck. Like, is luck a huge part of life? Like, no matter how hard you work and no matter how many times you put yourself out there, I mean, what is it? What does it take? And that's what frustrates me about life. And I'm really frustrated. It was a huge reality check for me. So I had to save up enough money to get my own place. Barely getting by. And it was hard. They started cutting our hours back, and I was essentially living paycheck to paycheck, and I was $30,000 in debt from student loans that I still owed. I was in credit card debt because I had to find a way to survive. And then I guess I had believed in my mind that the American dream was real and that everything would work out, but things didn't go as planned. And one day I got in my car, I packed all my bags, and I said, hey, I'm just gonna go on this long road trip for 6 days. And the goal was to get to Arkansas to see my cousin. And this is kind of the beginning of my journey as someone who creates videos about hiking. And I finally had gotten to Arkansas, but during my journey there, I got to see parts of the U.S. that I had never seen before. And when I went to these places and I thought, there's more to life than, school. There's more to life than work. Life goes beyond that. It's about also our hobbies and our passions. And that's kind of when I decided, okay, what would it be like if I just looked for a path close by myself and I just started walking, and I looked for short hikes, and I wanted something that was close to me, and I found that they had a waterfall not too far from my house, which is about an hour, because I kind of like live in a flat area where it's very desert-like. So I drove up into this area up in the mountains, and I would say this was probably my first official hike. And I was scared. I never had been out in the woods by myself. And then I went on the trail, and kind of spooky going into the woods alone, and I was climbing up to the trail. This was a very short hike, but I finally got to the end. And when I got to the end of that trail, it made me feel good inside. It's like, wow, like what if I were to go out every week, I were to go to a trail and film the hike? And I started doing that. And in the beginning, I just kind of threw the videos together. I didn't really put a lot of thought into them. I just went out there and filmed them. But that's when I was watching, there was this other guy. He's a very famous YouTuber, or a big hiker YouTuber. He's pretty well known. And he explained all these trails that were kind of close to me. And that's when I decided, okay, what if I did this? Like, this is a good idea. What if I went out, picked out a trail near me, maybe 2-4 hours from me, and what if I explained it and broke down the trail? No phone, no fancy camera, no tripod, no drone. Of course, over time, I evolved from a phone to a GoPro to a own camera that I currently use now. I always look for ways to try to evolve as a creator, and I think that's why I get mad. And the thing that really pisses me off is when I spend so much time on a video, and then I go back and I get like 3 likes, and I look at my retention rate and it performs very badly. I get so mad. I want to grab my phone, slam it against the wall, because I have certain expectations of myself. I've always been very ambitious. I've always worked very hard in everything I've ever done in my life. I've always wanted the best for myself. And I want that one video, just one video, that gets over 10,000 views. Just one. And if I could somehow crack through this algorithm thing, out of everything I've ever done in my life, all the failures, all the rejection, all the disappointment that I have ever endured, it wouldn't have been for nothing. All these videos that I create, everything I've ever done, I could inspire people. It would inspire people who've ever felt like they were down, like society kept them down, and that the structure that we all live in the rat race. Imagine that one guy who escapes it all. Imagine the stories that could be told. And that's what I want to do. I love making these videos. I love hiking. I love being able to go out, get these shots, explore these paces. I'm going to go back to the question I had in my previous video, and something I said in the earlier video about reflection. And that question is why? Why do I hike? I do it because it allows me to escape the society we live in, that temporary escape of being free, being wild, being out there, exploring, free from the control of the government, money, taxation, capitalism, the rat race that we all must live from day to day. at the 9 to 5. Because at the end of the day, this country controls all of us. It controls me. It controls you. Everything around us. The rising prices in rent, mortgage, everybody's just struggling right now. Everybody's struggling to get by. And if my message is sent out, they may not like that because I'm speaking the truth. Perhaps everything that I've ever been through in my life, all the failures, disappointments that led me here, perhaps it led me here so I could deliver the message to everyone who watches this video, if this message even gets sent out, and that's that we're all just hamsters on a wheel, all trying to escape. Perhaps this is my way of escaping, by getting out into the wild, going out into the woods, going out into the mountains, just feeling like I'm free from it all. Perhaps that's why it's temporary therapy for me. It allows me to reflect on life and think, but at the same time forget. A place of solitude, peace, and quiet. Simple chirping of the birds in the creek. Simple sounds of waves of the ocean. Sometimes it's just the simple things of life that I enjoy.